Ever feel like different generations just don't get each other? Certified coach, licensed therapist, and speaker Tess Brigham tackles the generational challenges shaping our personal and professional lives on The Gen Mess with Tess.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Gen Mess with Tess. We're not just fixing the mess, we're figuring out how to live in it. I'm your host, Tess Brigham, so let's start making sense of the mess together. Today, I'm joined by Amy Landino, best-selling author of Good Morning, Good Life and creator of Amy TV and founder of Vlog Boss Studios. Amy has spent over a decade helping people take back control of their mornings, their energy, and their lives in a world full of distractions. She's worked with brands like Adobe and LinkedIn and has been featured everywhere from CNBC to Fortune. But what makes her work so powerful is how simple and actionable it is. Thank you so much, Amy, for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Tess. That was an amazing intro.
So I would love to hear a little bit of your story. I know
Sure.
It's a long story. There's a lot there, but just, how did you get to this place of like, there's got to be a better way to work and live than this?
I feel like I've been saying that my whole life. I mean, I literally moved out of my parents' house at 18, going to school and working. And when I started making a paycheck wherever and anywhere, it was like, there's got to be a better way. I mean, like that's been in the back of my mind forever. Now you're talking about 2003, 2004. And that's at a time where you don't have TikTok and all of these fabulous life advisors everywhere. I'm one of them, telling you that there is a better way and all these different ways that are better. And when you're fresh out of school, you don't really want to read books. So I wasn't reading books to tell me that there was a better way for everything. But that was always in the back of my mind. So I think when you have that thought process, you don't realize it, but you're looking. And when you're ready to be the student, the teacher appears. The teacher could be life circumstance. The teacher could be an opportunity. And the teacher for me ended up being that I was fairly computer savvy for most of, my childhood. We got like a gateway computer that took up the entire kitchen when I was in middle school or something. And I even remember I was looking for an apartment living at my parents' house, and I was trying to look online, and I was like, I feel like this is going to get better at some point. It's going to be easier to shop for an apartment. It's just little things like that.
Yeah.
And it just kind of happened randomly. I learned how to edit a video because I was asked to be in a wedding. And I edited a video in my apartment on my big computer that I then had. And it was just kind of astounding to me that I could create something. I played it at the rehearsal dinner, and it was really just for the bride who I adored. And I just wanted her to feel good. But everyone in that room was just like stunned and just, I couldn't believe how I had the feelings of everyone sitting there in the palm of my hand, just based on what I'd created on this video on a DVD playing at the front of the room on a tube television. And that was the beginning of absolutely everything. I didn't even know YouTube existed at the time. I joined very soon after that, just for the sake of, oh, look, you can upload and share a link. And you can share the link with your friends. I didn't know that there were people who were literally finding friends and their tribe and their people by sharing their lives on the internet. It just kind of happened that way. That's sort of a weird backstory to how we've gotten here, but it's always just been pulling at the thread, uploading a video, learning how to be creative, finding out businesses were using social media. And I was using social media to point people to videos. So they were like, well, point people to our businesses. So then I became a marketer. Then I was talking about marketing on video. And they're like, well, who cares about Facebook and Twitter? How are you promoting yourself with video? We want to learn that. That's how Vlog Like a Boss came out in 2017, my first book. And then I just fell into productivity because people were like, we like watching your videos, but we don't want to actually take the advice. We don't have time. And I was like, what? What? Let's unpack that. So then it just became about productivity. And next thing you know, you share your morning routine and people are just like, what? Tell me more about that. And then you have a book called Good Morning, Good Life. It's always been about, if I put myself out there, I can then learn more and get intrinsic motivation by just doing. Because if you read between the lines, it's not about reading critical comments. People are afraid to put themselves out there because they're afraid of critical comments.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yay, we're getting comments that we can start to read between the lines of what people need and what they want. That is how you build a real solution. And that's all business is. And that's all being a brand is being somewhat of a solution for somebody's problems to solve.
Mm. Oh, wow. I've never heard anyone ever say it like that you're the solution. And one of the things that you pointed out that I think when young people are thinking about their careers or their future is this whole idea of, well, I got to figure out what I want to do and then I've got to work towards it and then I'll be happy. And what you really talked about is the thing that was fun and easy for you that made a huge splash at the wedding. It's like, no, that's the stuff that you need to be doing. That's the stuff, right? And I think a lot of times if something's too easy, we think, well, this is easy, but it's easy for you. You see the patterns. You're seeing that. Other people don't so much.
Totally. It's exactly what they say about happiness is in the journey, right?
Yes.
Like you just said, like, oh, I'm going to do this and then I'll be happy.
Mm-hmm.
They tell you to do something that makes you happy and call it work because that's where you find happiness is I could do this whether somebody paid me or not.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be so happy to. And that video editing was that for me for a very, very long time. And now I don't want to do it. So you would definitely have to pay me and I pay somebody else to do it. But but you really couldn't take it from me for probably, I think it ended up being 15 years before I was willing to let go of that because there was so much emotion for that being the reason I found myself. And the way of expressing myself sometimes had to do with that, the cadence of the editing. And so it's very true. Like if you find something's natural to you or not natural, but you can't get enough of it, you're willing to do all the research and learn from anyone and every single thing you get that expands your mind, gets you excited, get paid for that.
Yeah. Because again, you're not going to wake up every day thrilled to do it, but you're more often than not, you will be.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your new book, Good Morning, Good Life. And it seems to me that the book, I was looking through some things, it's really about, and you do this in a very kind and loving way, but it's really about ownership. Like,
it is.
What are people getting, so tell me a little bit about, what do you think people are getting wrong about their mornings? And I have some feelings or thoughts about, but let's start there about productivity.
Let's get to there. I want your feelings and thoughts. Listen, I think here's what people get wrong about mornings. It's that it's an Instagram flex.
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting for me because I started talking about it at a time where you really didn't have, I think TikTok was around in another form, but it was not what it is today. And therefore, Instagram Reels really was not what it is today.
Mm-hmm.
You were getting your self-development, aspirational, sort of visually compelling advice from YouTube in a lot of ways. And so at the time that I started talking about morning routines, I could just kind of talk on camera. I've always been more of a talking head format than anything, and a vlogger in one life. But when you started to see morning routines get popular online, then you started to see aesthetically pleasing morning routines.
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful. It's great. It's a great dopamine hit, but it also will make you feel pretty bad about yourself based on what mornings actually look like for you. Even if you have a killer morning routine that makes you amazing, it probably doesn't look like the perfect thing you saw on an Instagram reel. So what it's not is something that should be shown and flexed and supposed to be dreamy and perfect. Like mornings are often not perfect. And that's the entire reason why having a routine is not about what you do. It's that you are preparing yourself in and of itself. To start the day on your terms is to say, I want a system that makes my success inevitable. And I'm willing to do hard things to make another hard thing that will probably happen later in the day a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm. And I'm assuming that it's always mornings, right? Because it's about, and I love what you said, you're like it's about taking your power back. It's about, right? That so much of this is about how do you start your day? And what I would say to clients, because this is a recommendation that I've been giving to clients for years of, having that morning time, having like carving out a certain amount of time every morning for you. What do you want to do that's going to push you forward? And that was, and you talk about this too, that the big complaint that everyone makes is like, well, I have to check my emails. I have to check this. I have to check that. And it seemed for many people when I finally said, well, checking your emails is kind of about somebody else. It's about what they want, what they need.
It's one thing to say, I have to check my email. It's another thing to say, I'm expecting an email. Right?
Yes.
And I think this is what people miss, because I also don't give out, I definitely don't advise it, but I don't give out blanket advice that you should never look at your phone when you wake up. I just think it's a terrible idea, because it's either I'm going to grab my phone, which is the same as saying, I'm just going to check my email.
Yeah.
Versus I'm going to open my affirmations app. I'm going to open the Bible app. I'm going to open my goals for the year and read it for the first of 3 times today. Those are 2 different things. You're talking about starting off by default and on defense instead of taking initiative and being on offense for what you intended to do. So, I think it's very easy to resort to, I have to check my email. Maybe that's a true rule of who you were yesterday, because yesterday you decided everybody else is the one in charge of your day. I have a boss. I have kids. I have this husband. I have to do all these things the way somebody's told me. I have these teachers. I didn't do enough studying. I have this. I have to do. Yes, people have been telling you what to do all your life. There's supposed to be a point where you were taught to become the adult in your life so that the other adults are not the ones choosing for you, but advising you as it makes sense and advising you. They still don't walk a day in your shoes. It's up to you of what to do there. It's that for me. We think we have to check our email because we've taught everyone up to this point. I check my email instantly. And I apologize to people if I haven't replied to them in their text message in the last hour, because I want them to know that that's not how I usually conduct myself. Why? Why do you have to be somebody who responds within the first 30 seconds? I don't want anyone to think about that with me ever. I'm like so grateful for being able to schedule text messages.
Yes.
I love it. Actually, the feature I wanted for all of iPhone's lifetime was, can I mark a text unread? I should be able to read someone's text and decide to get back to it at a late. I can't believe we've only been given that feature in the last couple of years. I've been begging for it. I won't open text messages because of it. I need to remind myself to check it. I need that thing to tell me because it's not time right now. I've decided it's not time right now.
Yeah.
We have to decide for ourselves, how do we start the day? Because it proves we can make good on promises of when I'm in charge, when I really am in charge, and I can say how things go and I can set boundaries, that I will actually follow through on them.
Have you heard the book Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
that's the first morning routine book I ever read.
Oh, okay. So, and I think it's so funny because when I was looking at your book, I was like, God, this feels like, I know I relate everything back to the generations, but it really does feel like the Gen Z version of mornings. Because
which one?
Your book is like the new, new mornings.
Hip. Okay.
Because what I noticed, the Miracle Morning, it was all about getting up at 5 a.m. and you're going to exercise for an hour and then meditate for 45 minutes. And then you're supposed to read all this stuff. And, you've done so much before you've even started your workday. And I think all, those things, moving your body and meditate, like all of those things are great. And there was a point at which I had a client who was doing a version of this. He had gotten up to 45 minutes of meditation. And I'm going to tell you, and so I was like, so how's it going? And he's like, I have no life. This sucks. Like he was exercising and doing all that stuff, but he couldn't hang out with his girlfriend because he was exhausted. He had to go to bed early. The meditation helped him get more focused, but it was, the lack of sleep. And even when he tried to go to bed, all of it, So it felt, what bothered me about that book was it felt a little bit like there's this way. Like this is what quote unquote good people do. And I think there's a lot of this of good people exercise, bad people check their, like go on TikTok, right?
It's very easy to over categorize everything.
Yes. And so what good people do is they do all these things. And what I love about your book is it's very much about like, you got to do you. You got to do you, and you've got to do, and to me, it just feels like this real switch from the millennial work so hard to this Gen Z, like, no, I don't know if I need to work this hard. And, that was my take on the book. It was very much like,
and I want to say
freedom.
this, Hal wrote something so groundbreaking when that book came out. And a lot of us did that. And there are good things I picked up from it. And there are things that I let go of. And the hard part is this, to your point, the Miracle Morning is very prescriptive. And we do want to be told what to do.
Yes.
It goes back to we're looking for the adult in the room. And so that's why we follow influencers and we read books and we listen to teachers and we hear our parents in our head and who tell us rich people are bad, so we can never make any more money because our family will think that we're terrible and blah, blah, blah. That is why that is. I wanted to take the good things I got from Miracle Morning and say, my morning has been a miracle because I decided I was the adult in the room and I could take a well-formed format and say, what does this actually look like for me? And maybe 45 minutes of meditation, he got up to that because it ended up serving him. But you could take that and leave a couple of other things if it feels like you're just checking arbitrary boxes. The way that Good Morning, Good Life is structured is quite different, but it could also look exactly the same. It depends on what you do because I don't know your life. But I thought, you know what, you just need to fill 3 buckets. It's very simple. It's movement, mindfulness, mastery. Mastery is my favorite, and I'll tell you why, because I think that's the entire reason anyone is thinking about having a morning routine at all is mastery. But the first 2 are easy. Movement, move your body, let your body know it's time to wake up. And at night, movement just as important. What are you doing to move your body into shutting down so you do get enough sleep? Mindfulness, start the day on your terms, means think your own thoughts. Come up with the things that you actually want to think. We have a lot of limiting beliefs and tasks and projects and emails we probably should check from our boss. So let's just make sure. That ends up being our mindfulness. We never actually start out thinking the way we want to think about our day, about our life. So what does that look like for you? What can you do to fill your mind? Mastery is so beautiful because, especially for somebody who's saying, I have to work at this job, but I want to start a side hustle. I think I want to run my own business. Great. When are you going to get time? Have a mastery moment. A mastery moment, generally speaking, think of a pianist, somebody who practices their scales on the piano. They have to do those basics because they are going to play the most beautiful music once they've really earned their chops and practiced and learned the skills. But you come back to the core foundation. That's an example of mastery, practicing your scales. What do you do to practice your scales? Something that I do to practice my scales is talk on podcast interviews. If I want to be excellent on camera, if I want to be a good communicator on stage, if I want to be able to coach somebody up in my program that pays a lot of money to be there, I'll get on a podcast interview and practice some ideas and talking them out loud and not saying, and that sort of thing. What is something like that? So mastery moment to start the day makes you really feel like you owned your morning because you did something that applies directly to you and the trajectory you're headed on. Yeah. So a little bit of movement, a little bit of mindfulness, and having a mastery moment, even if it's only 15 minutes that you gave the thing that you hope to do a lot more someday, that will completely change your life. That's 3 buckets to fill, and you get to decide what they are.
Yeah. Well, I love how your book, and again, it's been a long time since I've read Miracle Morning. I'm not trying to slam Elroy. Yeah. But I love how your book, because what you're really speaking to is the why. Why are you getting up? If you're getting up at 5 a.m., why are you getting up at 5 a.m.?
100%.
Why are you doing this?
100%.
Why are you meditating? Why are you? And it's it's so interesting to see how much are right that exactly what you're talking about, these limiting beliefs of how we should be, what we should be doing. Because for me personally, my morning, like I work for myself. So, and I really enjoy that. And I get up at, sometimes I have to get up earlier and sometimes I have things to do, but most of the time I get up, make coffee, and I sit and I lay with my dogs. And that's how I start my morning. And then I'll go work out or I'll go do something else or so that's what works for me. And for so long, I felt such guilt. I felt like I was quote unquote bad because I was not exercising. I wasn't doing this. I was just sitting in this chair, sometimes scrolling through social media, sometimes reading, sometimes, I have another podcast with my sister about pop culture. So maybe watching some show that I need to watch. But it's really taken me, it's only in the last couple of years that I've even given myself permission to be okay with this, because this is not what it looks like. But it's like, but this is what works for me. And this makes me happy. And I enjoy my life. Could I be getting a lot more done? Sure. But I don't want to.
To what end? Exactly.
Yeah. Because I'm old and I'm tired and I've been working. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know how much more I need to be go.
Yeah. I mean, and you just basically decided this is what I want to feel. If I want more of what I want to feel, I'm going to start the day with more of what I want to feel.
Yeah. That's a great way of thinking about it. Yeah. How do you want to feel?
That really is what we're talking about. It doesn't even have to be measured in work. We as Americans, we just do that. We just measure everything in work. And maybe your mastery is like crocheting, right? Like, I've been meaning to pick up that kind of like mindless but mindful craft of something. And I have no idea how to start. Okay, great. Do it for 5 minutes in the morning. So pick up one little loop, like whatever. I mean, it does not have to be measured in work. It just has to be measured in, did I choose it? Did I choose it? And that's where I see most people struggle, because it feels like you are not allowed a choice. Even you guilting yourself is saying, I don't have a choice because I should be doing things another way, the way others would choose.
And I'm a therapist. And I always try to explain to people, like, we're not perfect. We are not perfect. We also struggle because we're human. So what do you think is the biggest pushback? What's the biggest pushback you get from people, or the resistance? Because I'm sure there is.
Oh, the resistance.
So so tell me some of the biggest pieces. What's the biggest resistance and what do you say to that?
Okay, well, the biggest one, I'm gonna tell you, it literally is it's the first page.
Okay.
I am not a morning person.
Yes.
I love when people tell me that. I'm like, really? You're not a morning person? No, I wouldn't be a morning person either if I just had to do what everyone else told me to do all the time. And if that has been the belief up to this point, yeah, I'm not excited about mornings at all. Also, I'm not that person. First of all, I've very much mastered a morning routine, hopefully. But secondly, I have mastered what I do because of what I want to do. But that doesn't mean they all go perfectly. And that doesn't mean I'm excited to jump out of bed every day. I'm not. I still have to kind of drag myself into what I got to do. This, instead of because someone else told me to, more because why am I so daggone wise that I know how to manage my time and do hard things first, that I have to go to the gym at this hour? But that is the season of life I'm in. That is how I've reverse engineered success in my life. And it makes me feel like an incredible person after I'm done. So I pull myself out of bed to do it because I know what the benefit is on the back of it.
Yes.
That's it. So that's probably the biggest resistance. The second biggest is name absolutely any outside influence as to why my morning routine just cannot exist. My favorite is I have these kids.
I was going to say, can I guess? Because I'm going to say kids. Yes.
Listen,
kids.
I was a productivity YouTuber for a long time before I became a parent. And the number one comment was like, this is cute. This is a cute arrangement you have here for how to be productive. It must work for YouTubers with no kids. Come to me when you have kids. And I thought, maybe they have a point. I can't speak from that experience. Now, is that a good enough reason to have kids? Probably not. But I did eventually come to the conclusion of having kids. And I couldn't get pregnant right away. And then that became sort of an interesting, that's talked about in the book too, because I wrote it in 2019 before I even tried to have kids. And then now we're putting it out again in 2026. And a lot has happened since then. But my favorite thing about this, as somebody who also like went through a journey, I'm not going to call it infertility, but went through a journey of what does it take for your body to be ready? And if your body can be ready, that I just had to learn some really hard lessons in that. And, but to say now I can't have a morning routine because of these kids is so funny because I prayed for these kids. Like they are the literal interpretation of a manifestation. Walking around yelling at me, telling me they want more Paw Patrol. So it's really hard for me to be like, well, I can't do anything for myself anymore because I did all that thinking for myself and doing for myself before so I could have these kids. And now it's all about these kids. Hold on. If before success meant that you do have to put yourself first a little bit, not to the level where you're a narcissist and you don't care about anyone, but you still have to put your mask on first. They still tell you that on the airplane every time, not every Wednesday, every time, not just Saturdays, right? If that's true, then it's true here too. It just means it's going to look different. Your season is not the same. I never went to the gym until 10 a.m. at the earliest before. You don't get to a point of I'm waking up at 3:30 to get to the gym when they open at 4 unless there's a very good reason why. But I can't give you a good reason why. I gave myself a good reason why because myself believes it.
Yes.
It's not something you can just be like, go do that. It's easy. You get it out of the way. What? That's like the most wild thing to tell somebody is start waking up at 3:30 to go to the gym at 4. Makes no sense. But it works for this season of my life where I am with these motivations, these kids, the luxury of a husband who is home with the kids while I leave to go and do what I got to do. Like there are things about my life that make that possible. I can't give that blanket advice to anyone else. So I'm going to, if you don't mind, I want to give something away. Yeah. Because there's these big goals and maybe the big goal is I want a morning routine. But then you immediately have that resistance because you're like, but these kids or, but I'm tired, but this, but that, but this, but that. You immediately have resistance. So what happens is you don't do chapter 1, which is decide. You have to decide. But in order to decide, you also need to confront some other mini issues that are keeping you from even following through on your decision of having a morning routine. If you come to my Instagram, it's easy. Just search for me, Amy Landino. It's the verified account. You might have to follow, otherwise it doesn't always work. But if you just message me Tess. Or you can message me Messy Tess, whichever. I love the mess with Tess. I try to dress for the mess with Tess. If you do that and just message me Tess's name, I'll send it to you. It's my extraordinary action framework so that we can lock in on what is the goal, but then what is keeping you from even taking that first action on the goal. And it might be something like this. I want a morning routine, but I have these kids. Okay. What would need to be true in order for you to still have kids, but start the day on your terms? And that framework can start to help you crack through some of those limiting beliefs because it really makes you open up and go, all right, I have to give every answer possible. Absolutely every answer so that I can get outside of my usual frame and change the story. So I just think that might be helpful because that is the biggest.
I might be texting my name too.
Give it a try. But I did it. That framework was so popular very recently on my YouTube channel. I had to include it in the expanded version of the book because I was like, this is really the issue. We want to say we're the adult in the room. We want to say we're deciding this is the case, but we can't keep it up because we're not actually facing the limiting belief that's still there. And that resistance isn't going to go away if you don't confront it.
And I think the other part of it too is, which I'm constantly trying to teach my clients and I have to teach myself too, is there's got to be a layer of, an element of compassion, right? The negative self-talk, you screwed up, you did this, you can't do anything right. I think that's the other thing, right? Where people feel, oh, well, I just got up 20 minutes earlier than I normally do. Is that good enough? Right. And then that judgment of self. And so much of, and I don't know how much you studied self-compassion and Dr. Kristen Neff and her work, but what's really important about that is you can be accountable. You can hold yourself accountable and also be kind to yourself.
Absolutely.
Like these things are not, these things aren't mutually exclusive. So,
yeah.
And I think that's a big component of this as well, which is the relationship you have with yourself, what goes on in your mind is the most important relationship that you have. So my God, be nicer to that person.
I know. It is just, you probably experience this a lot with people and how they talk about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And what I find so fascinating about that is how we are so easily get down on ourselves, but it's almost like we're talking about someone else.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of important because while we feel really bad that we are that person that we're talking about, I think in the way that you can kind of compartmentalize yourself from it is a sign that you actually believe you are a better version of what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And that person really does exist if you are so bold as to become them. And it takes a lot to get to that, but you can't jump to the other end of the field. You have to go 1 yard at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And we never feel like 1 yard at a time is enough because we have access to the entire world in our pocket that shows us that somebody can make a 10x leap. You
Mm-hmm.
just don't know what it took for that to happen. You have no idea. You'll still never know, even if they told their whole story on the longest podcast of all time, you'll still never know what it really
Mm-hmm.
took to get there. Because most of the time, it's the hardest parts, it's the struggles, it's the setbacks, it's the obstacles that made them even better
Mm-hmm.
because they didn't give up and they just became more resilient with that.
Yeah.
It's just so fascinating to me.
Well, the older I get, the more I realize that, it's just time. Just, it's just time of doing something. How do you get better at something? Oh, just time, just doing it over and over and over again. And eventually that's the part that's hard is people are always looking at the one, the yards. And it's like, don't look. You can look behind you and see how far you've come, but don't worry so much about what's in front of you. But I think that, it sounds like if you don't have a why that aligns with who you are and what you believe in, then the every yard is going to feel so overwhelming. And
especially if
not
what
fun.
you believe is so bold that everyone more loud around you is telling you it's wrong.
Mm.
You never get to a point then of
Mm-hmm.
being in true alignment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how could we ever all get to the point of true alignment? Gosh, to be so amazing. But to be you and what you fully believe in is to know what you believe in. And that's really hard to get clarity on these days. You
Mm-hmm.
have so much noise around you giving you ideas of what to believe in.
Yes.
And
yes.
my favorite one, I get this all the time with clients. Well, I went with that option because it's the most realistic. Well, hold on. Because if you want something realistic, then it would have to be real right now. Because the future is unpromised.
Mm-hmm.
Time doesn't even really, it's right now or it's not.
Yeah.
It's right now or it's not. So what's realistic is right here. This is it. This is realistic and that's it. Screw realistic. I want unrealistic. I want to shoot for unrealistic because I'm hoping that even if I don't hit the moon, I get the stars. I'm all good with that. I'm super happy with that. And when you think in terms of that's what's most realistic, you're already deciding to not try that hard. You're saying what I'm doing right now could potentially get that. But if it could potentially get that, then you could get it right now because this is what you're doing right now. So is that even true?
Mm-hmm.
And also, imagine if you just went a little bit higher than that. Imagine if you shot higher, where you'd end up.
Yeah.
It's It's the realistic limiting beliefs. As soon as we hear something that's like, oh, that's doable, we like to stop there and go like, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know, I think it's so fascinating to me right now that the idea of making six figures is still an aspiration. Like,
why do you
really?
say that? Because
why is six figures, $100,000 a year does not get you what it used to.
No, it does not.
You still need to be in a 2-income household. And you listen, it depends on the situation and all these things, but just like to look at the market, if you wanted to buy a house and what it really takes, it's actually unbelievable. But you see a lot of people saying, if you do this, you could be making six figures, or if you do this, you could have a 6-figure business. If you want a 6-figure business, please just go get a job. Because a 6-figure business is not enough money to have a business. You are stressed out. You're completely on your own. You take all your own risk. You have to pay for your own health insurance. You pay your own taxes. Sure, you get to write a whole lot of things off, but they're still expenses and they come out of your money.
Yep.
So 6-figure business, go get a job. Go get a job. 6-figure business isn't enough to get me out of bed because I take on all this risk. I am the boss. Great, cool. Go get a remote job and do an amazing job for a company that will pay into your 401k. But 6-figure business is not something you should be getting excited about when you go hire a business coach. That makes no sense. You need to do so much more than that to be making 6 figures personally. So that's why I worry when people say, realistically, that's changed a lot. And we need to think bigger. It doesn't mean we have to do the most. We don't have to hustle. We need to value ourselves more. We need to say, I'm going to deliver at the highest degree that I am able to, but I am not going to sell myself short where I need some boundaries. And I will be paid more than I could have ever dreamed because I will be fulfilling my worth and I'll be happy with where I'm at. And I don't need top dollar because I'll actually kind of enjoy my life.
Well, and do you think part of it is right that whole thing of 6-figure or multiple 6 figures or whatever it is? It feels so, again, it's back to the journey. I mean, to me, everything always comes down to how do you feel every day? Like, how do you feel? So if your 6-figure business makes enough money and you're living the lifestyle that you want to live,
that's true. That's
great.
100%.
But you're absolutely.
I happen to be in the market for a house right now, so I'm struggling with that a little bit.
What you're speaking to is, I think something that I see a lot of people reacting to now, which is that whole the teen years, of coaching and the way coaching was designed, and that whole thing, right? The whole like I 10x'd, I made this, I made that.
Sure.
I'm sure there's still people out there doing that whole 10x thing. I don't really pay attention to it, but it's interesting to see because I really feel like that whole coaching world has shifted. It feels like it's shifting a lot into more of what you're talking about, much more of like, well, what do I want? Like, what is 6 figures? Like what,
exactly.
What is that?
And that's exactly why I shout that out, because it's the most, it's a number. It's easy to like compute in your brain, whether you think it's feasible or not. And it's become such an easy phrase to understand. That's what I'm getting at, that it's still being used as marketing jargon, right? And it's actually, if you think about it, not going to do the job. But most people aren't even in a position to realize that it's not going to do the job because they need somebody smart around them to help them to see that. And ideally, you get in the door with that jargon and then you find out what it actually takes and you're willing to do what it takes. But you're right. If you have got it all figured out to know what you need and you're happy with what you need, personally, I think that we'd like a little bit more buffer than that, a little bit. Then yes, it's more to do with what you want. It's more to do with what you want, where you want to be, but also how do you design it so it is not backbreaking?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Because that's why we have people who are supposed to be retired going out and getting a job.
Yes. Well, things are, I mean, and I'm part of this, I'm a Gen Xer. I'm part of this generation where to make money, I was told, you can make money, you can make lots of money, but it's going to be hard work. It's going to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's taken me a lot of years to figure out like, oh, wait a second. It doesn't have to be, I can bring in money with ease. I don't have to work so hard. That does not mean that I don't care and that I haven't put in the time and the training and the energy. It just means I'm making it a little bit easy.
Yeah.
I want to chat before we wrap up because I do, this is the Gen Mess. So I want to talk about the generations a little bit. And I don't want to assume anything, but you're a millennial.
Yeah, I am a millennial.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of them though. I feel like it's I don't even know what the span is. What is this? The span of a millennial?
It's 1980 to about 1997.
That's a lot of people. Yeah.
It is it's a huge generation. I mean, you're as big as I believe the boomers and I'm Gen X. So we're tiny. We're the less than 40 million.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I often say this about millennials, which is I always feel like you guys were such the guinea pigs of the internet, of social media, that you all, you had some analog life and some digital life. There was a little bit more of that, but many, and these were my clients, graduating in 2008, 2009, 2010, being told that all you need to do is get a college education at the finest school and take out all these loans, take as many loans as you can, and then graduating into, this horrible recession. And then I saw it again with the pandemic. And I'm like, it's all the millennials that have these little kids. Like for me, my son was 12. Like, he doesn't want to talk to me. I was able to run my business and do a lot because he was older. And I had these clients that had like 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds and what that was like. And I was like, God damn it. Do they ever get a break in this world?
Thank you for that. That's
So, but is that how because that's my perception of it. Like, that's what I'm seeing on this side where I feel like, and you were the first generation where everyone had a platform to criticize you. So you got so much crap. And then when the pandemic started, they blamed you all.
It's astounding, isn't it?
They blamed you. And it was like, no, that's actually Gen Z partying at spring break. The millennials are like 30 some odd years old now. Yeah.
We're happy at home. There are so many things. I mean, it really is, it's really tough. I think just the student loan crisis probably hit the hardest. I think I told that part of my story, right, where I decided to go and work for myself while being in school, which ended up saving me because my friends were graduating and moving back in with their parents. I was working at a law firm thinking I was going to go to law school. Mm-hmm. Fortunately, was in this environment and go, man, I'm not doing that. This does not look like a fun lifestyle. But I ended up being in the right place for what my major was at the time. So not only was I in student loan debt because they just doled it out to anyone who had a good credit score and a kid, they, I didn't end up finishing my degree at all because I was watching my friends not get jobs and I had the job that they would have wanted. So I was like, well, I got to keep this job. I have a great spot that I just happened to be here because I got ahead of everybody, but I was not going to school as much as they were. Mm-hmm. So I had the debt and no degree. And then I had the job, but then I decided to leave the job and then go into entrepreneurship. So the student loan debt really did set that tone for, oh, you wanted to work? You're locked in now. You keep on working. Yep. You better keep on working. And I do wish somebody would have told me to just go summer in Europe or something. I love that that's the thing that people do now. But that was the big thing. And then once I started looking, I was a renter for a very long time, but first by choice and then by like how much our house is. Like the house that I am in right now is my parents' house they built in 2003. And I remember being like, wow, they paid $500,000 for this. Like they get letters on their doorstep for the last 5 years since the pandemic. I mean, maybe even before the pandemic of like, please let us buy your house. And of course, the market goes up and down, and it's down again, but versus where it was in 2021. But I mean, they could have easily doubled their money on this place. It's just an enormous amount of square footage.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my husband and I are shopping. Unfortunately, we're shopping for our third home because of a series of events, but I don't like what I'm seeing. And it's going to be my most expensive house to date. So I'm having a really hard time looking at like, this house, is this worth putting all this money into to only end up with a payment on a mortgage that's probably double what we've ever seen.
Yeah. Are you in New York?
We're outside of New York and Connecticut. We're on the shoreline in Connecticut. So now my husband's from Connecticut, which is how we ended up back there. And that's, that comes with a whole host of fun things about Connecticut. We don't have to go there. But, you're still looking at the same across the board. Like, where are interest rates? What is, we're getting approved for houses at a greater amount than ever before based on how much you make, because it's just how much houses cost now.
Yeah.
But it still costs that.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's been a bit of a ride as a millennial.
And you have to, and you have to pay all the maintenance. I mean, that's the other part that people don't factor into is the cost of everything. Listen, I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area. Trust me, I know this one well.
God.
And this is, I grew up in Berkeley, California, and I couldn't afford to live in the neighborhood that I grew up in, and it's funny because I'm a few towns over and I run into people that I went to high school with, and like, we're all over here now because no one can afford Berkeley anymore because it's priced people out. But this whole housing thing, I think what you're really speaking to, and I want to let you go after this, but what you're really speaking to is this idea of, right, we've been told over and over again, getting married, having children, buying a home, like, these are the things that are going to make you happy. Yeah. These are the things that, this is what it means to be an adult. And at the end of the day, whether you rent or you own or whatever, it's really about, are you paying, can you pay the mortgage? Do you mind, do you like where you live? Like, are you willing to reinvest? Because my husband,
I want to say one more thing about this, because this goes back to what I was talking about with, like, what limiting beliefs do you have based on how your environment has taught you that you don't even really know that you have? It's been really interesting being a part of this generation and all the financial, all the go work, now start a side hustle business. And now the new generation saying, we don't like the side hustle. Stop talking about it. Like, we shouldn't have to work that much to be able to pay bills. And I'm like, I don't disagree, but okay. But it's like, we're not even talking about the same thing. To be raised by boomers who went through a completely different financial trajectory is really tough, because what they see as, well, you should only have to do this, 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 and this, and then you're good. And it's just like, no, that's how it was before. That's not how it is now. But that sounds like a big excuse. So then you get in your own head. It's just like, but they did it, but they did it, but they did it. And I remember, I just want to say this. I remember sitting down, and I had just gone into business for myself full time, and it had been probably, 6 to 8 months or something. And I remember sitting on the living room floor. I'm at my parents' house right now. I'm sitting on the living room floor upstairs, and my dad looked at me, and I think he just didn't know what to do with this information. Like, I worked for myself. Did that mean I was unemployed? Like, he just looked at me, and he was like, I just wish you could go somewhere and just, report to a job and just make like $90,000 a year and just be good. And I looked at him and I was like, Dad, I was like, I've already made $90,000 this year and we're not even done yet. And he looked at me, he was like, you have? And I said, yeah. And I think it doesn't matter what the numbers are. Like, it really doesn't matter. It's just, everybody has this idea that they have learned from their life and their experience and their mistakes and their wisdom of what they think you have to do. And they have your best interest, but they don't have all the information because they're not walking in your shoes. And that's all I'm trying to ever say to anyone ever in this book, on my videos, in my coaching program, everything. No one has to do what you have to do. No one's been through what you have to be through. No one is up against the wall that your back is up against. So take all of the advice because people really do want the best for you, but they only know what they know.
Yes.
And that's okay.
Yes. Well, I often say to my clients, are your parents going to go to law school? Like, is this going to happen? Like, who's going to go do these things? It's you. You are the one that has to show up at this job, not them. And you know this because you're a parent now, but it's so much of it is about our own anxiety as a parent. Like, you want to make sure your kid is good. And so you have this idea of what good, quote unquote, good is. And so you project it out. But thank you so much, Amy. The book is coming out April 8th. Am I right?
7th.
Yeah.
April 7th.
Oh, 7th. Sorry.
My firstborn's birthday. Serendipitous. So we got to get that one right.
Oh, 4/7. Yes. So, and the book is called Good Morning, Good Life. Anything else that you want to share or people can check you out?
Yeah. I wanted to make this like a no-brainer for people because it really is like, it's basically like choose your own adventure for your mornings. And if you want a buddy to do it with you, I have something really cool. If you go to goodmorninggoodlife.com, it's only for a little while longer because we're probably going to run out of supply. But anyone who orders 2 copies of the book from wherever you like to, just enter your order details onto our bonus page and you can redeem 2 paper planners from my store online, which my Good Morning Good Life planners kind of go as a companion with the book. So it's a really cool thing. And that way, you get to gift something really cool to a friend of yours that you must really like a lot because you want them to get better too. And you guys can do it together.
Yeah, that's perfect. Well, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for listening to the Gen Mess with Tess. Remember, we're not just fixing the mess, we're learning how to live in it. Stay curious, be kind to yourself, and I'll see you all next time.
You've been listening to the Gen Mess with Tess with your host, Tess Brigham. Make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure to follow Tess Brigham on all social channels. To learn more about Tess's books, courses, or to have Tess speak to help clean up the Gen Mess at your organization, head on over to tessbrigham.com. Thanks for listening.